Are we recording? I can't tell. There we go. All right. Hello. Welcome to CKLA Chats. I am DLC Sarah Foster Yankee, fourth and fifth grade. And this is my
Hi,
co-host.
I'm Ashley Giles, 4 through 5, DLC. Thanks for joining us today.
Yes. So today we're going to be talking about Unit 6, Contemporary Fiction, Lesson 2, and it is all about discovering a theme in the house on Mango Street. Okay, so the text for this lesson are vignettes 1 and 2, The House on Mango Street, and My Name. And the reason students are reading these vignettes in this lesson is in order to identify a theme based on how the narrator's feelings and emotions change over time. So what you'll see students doing in this lesson are revising and strengthening descriptions of the houses described in vignette 1, and they'll also generate some inferences about the narrator using evidence from the text.
And what's very important about this lesson is going to set some foundations for all the lessons to come. Just talking about inferencing, and each vignette is talking about characters. And so this is a very important lesson, like to set a good foundation on making inferences and details and character descriptions.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so we're going to start off today's lesson with writing. The writing portion, the cub for that says the students will know the narrator, how the narrator feels about the house on Mango Street. The student will understand the author's choice of words to convey the narrator's feelings about the house on Mango Street. And the student will be able to write inferential statements about the characters, supported by quotes from the text using Writer's Journal 2.2. So very heavy cubs, deep thinking from our students. And so for the writing portion, it's divided into 2 sections. We'll start off with the first portion, which is revising descriptions. And this is building, referring back to lesson 1, when students wrote a description and drew descriptions of the one of the houses described in the text on the house on Mango Street. So basically the teachers, and this is only for 15 minutes, the whole time is not, most of the time is partner work, but of course it starts off with the teacher describing revisions and talking about what's revising and what is the importance of revising. So you should hear the teacher, asking students, well, why do authors revise and why do we revise? This is not the first time they should have heard this, but they need to know the importance of it because they're going to be doing some revisions. The teachers are going to refer them back to vignette 1. Remember, this is when they picked out those detailed descriptions from the text to draw that house. And basically, you're going to pair back up with your partner, and you're kind of going to evaluate the drawing and the description. So based off my description of my house, does my drawing match that? Am I clear? So the teacher is going to give students questions that will, actually the questions are on activity page 2.1 that the students are going to refer to. And it says, refer back to vignette 1, and then it gives the students a list of questions. So as they're with their partner, they're going to ask these questions based off their drawing and their underlined descriptor words. For example, what could have made my description clear? So the partners will be talking about, well, what could have made their paper better? And then they're going to jot down their responses on this activity page. Was there anything confusing? So just ensuring that students are understanding what these questions are asking. And the teachers, as the students are talking, the teacher is, of course, actively monitoring each partner group and just ensuring that they are actually revising these descriptions and asking these questions. So you should really see some intense work from your students looking at the text, saying, well, you have this, but you didn't have that. And basically, for this portion, that's it. They're going to fix some of their revision. They're going to fix their writing. And if they want to create a new description on activity page 2.1, there's 2 parts to that. They can also revise it and start their house and their drawing over on activity page 2.1. And so basically for this section, 15 minutes, that's it. There is a note here that says this does not have to be perfect, of course, right? Because you're writing your second time, you go first time you go back and revise, it's not going to be perfect. So it's not to have a polished piece, but it's to help them develop these skills of revising details and the importance of the feedback. So that is the importance of today. We don't want it to be perfect, but we do want to make some changes, ask questions and think and make the changes. And so that'll complete our revising descriptions portion. Now, our next section is titled Inferring Character. It's going to start off with whole group, of course, because inferring, we all know that's heavy. And then they're going to fall into some independent work, and that'll be for 20 minutes. So this activity, it says that the point is we want our students to draw their attention to details about the setting in order to make inferences about the narrator's views and the character's views. So this is, like I said before, this lesson here sets a foundation for all the upcoming lessons. So the students need to pay close attention to these descriptions, these details about the setting, because it elicits it. They have to infer how it makes the character feel, and how does it make other characters feel, and how does our narrator feel about other characters. So the teacher's going to start off talking about what is an inference. Hopefully students by now, fourth grade, they're able to answer that. What is an inference? What do you notice? Like how do you find an inference? So students should be able to tell you, you look for details and clues in the text. And then teacher is going to tell students to look at activity page 1.2. And basically, they're going to be looking at character traits about the narrator. And then and on this page, like words such as excited, is our narrator ashamed, proud, happy? Because in this vignette, so many details explain how she feels about where she lives, people she's around. And so students are going to complete activity page 1.2, assigning our narrator a trait, a character trait. And then the inferring part goes back, well, how do you know? What in the text lets you know that she feels this way? And basically, after that, the teacher talked about inferencing. Students are directed to go into activity page 2.2 and answer some questions about the narrator and her feelings. So they're inferring her feelings based off these character traits that are given and providing that textual evidence. And of course, as the students are working, teachers, of course, actively monitoring. I personally would check for understanding, ask some of these questions aloud, and it actually has it in here. The teacher could answer at least the first question with them just to see if they understand the purpose of answering these questions is to make inferences about how the narrator feels about these houses. If you would love to pull a small group, a teacher, you see you're putting a small group for students who may struggle, this will be the perfect time to do that, because the questions, it's all independent, because they're going back to vignette 1. These are readings that the students have already done. So it's no new readings. It's all the readings that they've done, and they're just inferring character based off what the details that they've read about. And then after they answer the questions, maybe the teacher pulled a small group. Perfect time for the teacher to conclude the lesson, maybe going over some of those answers to those questions. And it's stated in the text as well. And that'll conclude the writing portion.
All right, let's talk about reading. Okay, so our cub is that students will know that theme is a key subject or idea, usually seen repeatedly in a text. They will understand that when we discover how a writer uses patterns, we can identify a theme, and they'll be able to create a graphic organizer, including quotes and ideas from the text to identify a theme in Vignette 2 using Writer's Journal 2.3. So we have 3 components in the reading section of the lesson. The first is looking for theme in Vignette 1. It is whole group, and it'll take about 20 minutes. So in this component of the lesson, it's all about, they're going to use their inferences that they made about Esperanza in the writing component of the lesson. And they're going to be looking at how her emotions change over time. And then they're going to compare it with her feelings in another vignette to discover the theme of aspiration. So the teacher begins this component by asking questions about what the students have learned so far. Then she's going to be introducing theme and explain to students that theme is like a pattern, and that by looking at the pattern, we can identify theme. And that she's going to show them how to see patterns in a story using a graphic organizer. Right? So at this point in the lesson, the teacher is going to introduce Writer's Journal 2.3, and I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to that formative assessment so you can take a look at it, but I don't have it here, so I'm going to go back. So on 2.3, it's basically a graphic organizer. It has 4 columns, and the first column is the house. The next column is time. Third column is mood, and last column is quote. So the teacher is modeling the first row for the Imagine House, filling out that it when Esperanza describes the Imagine House, the time that it takes place is in the future. Maybe has a question mark. Maybe her mood, how she feels about that house, proud. And then we're finding quotes in the text to back up how she feels about that house. Okay, so
And
that
I
is
just want
something.
to
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to chime in real quick, but it goes back to the writing lesson, right? Like, how does she feel? So now they're putting it into, I guess, a graphic organizer. So it all just is just spirals. I'm just seeing the connection as we're talking.
Yes, and that is something that the teacher explicitly models
Yes.
before students do it independently. Okay, so there is a check for understanding in which the teacher polls students on which of the places Esperanza feels best about, which of those houses, and whether it is in the past, present, or future. Um, and you're just making sure that students understand that she feels best about the imagined house, because that's really important. And you're clarifying any misunderstandings that they have about that. So on 2.3, the teacher is going to guide the class through graphing how the narrator's mood changes over time and really helping them to understand the purpose of the graph. As a class, they're going to work together to decide where to place the Loomis house. And then they're going to repeat for the house on Mango Street and the Loomis Street flats. I think I said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they do the house on Mango Street and the Loomis flat together after the teacher models the imagined house. Okay. Like I said, that graph is on Writer's Journal 2.3. I don't know my X and Y axes because I'm not a math person, but on one axis you have mood and it goes from negative to positive, and on the maybe that's the Y axis. I don't know. It says time. It has past, present, or future. So you're graphing each of those houses based on her mood about it and the time where it takes place, where her thoughts about that house take place. And then the teacher is also asking some evaluative questions about those houses, checking on students' understanding of aspiration, making sure that they understand what aspiration is. So they'll be able to identify it as a theme. And we go here. I think am on the right page. Uh, then we're going to go to the next component of the lesson, reading my name, the next vignette. Students are going to do that independently. The teacher will prompt students to look for what is revealed about character in this vignette. So what else we learn about Esperanza? The teacher reads the first paragraph of the vignette, and then students will read the remainder of it independently. Let's see. The teacher asks, after she's read the first paragraph, what the narrator's name is. And then once students reveal you like we don't know her name, thinking about why we don't know the narrator's name. Why hasn't the author revealed the name? So really good author's craft question. Why did the author make that choice?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to begin a new graph about the narrator on Writer's Journal 2.4, where students are going to be finding quotes from the first paragraph that relate to how the narrator feels about her name. They're going to classify those quotes as positive, negative, or neutral. And the teacher is going to be asking students what they notice about how she feels about her name.
And you know what, Sarah? I'm just thinking about a classroom as a leader, I would these charts should be posted in the classroom. Although that this it should be visible. So make sure that your teachers are creating these anchor charts and doing that gradual release with them. I mean, because it's important. I mean, it's no way to have it on a whiteboard and erase it. I don't think that would suffice. I don't
Yeah,
think that's good.
especially 2.3 because they refer back to that chart throughout the unit, that graph, that mood and time graph. So it
Mm-hmm.
stays up on the wall. You don't need to put
Man,
that
be
away.
creative and make it like little note cards and put on there. Just saying, just yeah.
And sticky notes, like so you don't have
Mhm.
to do it every like if you have multiple classes, like use those sticky
Right.
notes. So
Yeah.
you definitely want to have those posted. So after students read the remainder of the vignette silently and independently, they're going to be answering some questions about it on Writer's Journal 2.4. Really just answering questions about what Esperance is describing. It's about her. It talks about her great grandmother. So her feelings about that, and basically every question that they're answering, they're supporting their answer with text evidence. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So from there, they're going to be going to Writer's Journal 2.5, and they are comparing the theme of Vignette 1 to the theme of Vignette 2. Get my notes. So the teacher is reminding students, and I'm sorry, we're in the last component here, 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Teacher is reminding students that the graph is a tool to help them see the theme and that they are trying to discover a pattern. So they're looking for what do they see now that they've graphed the time and the mood for both of those vignettes. What are they seeing? What is the pattern that they're seeing? Okay, so students are graphing independently, but it can be teacher led if the teacher feels that it's necessary, or students can do it in partners. Um, so whole group, they're going to come back together, whole group, and the students are going to direct the teacher or another student to plot vignette 2 on the graph. Because remember, they did vignette 1 together. Here they're telling her or they're telling a classmate where to plot vignette 2 on the graph, and they're going to use a new color for that, like a new marker color or new sticky notes.
Yeah, sticky note,
Yeah.
yes.
And the teacher, instead of houses for this vignette, the teacher is asking students where we're going to plot each character. So they're
Mhm.
plotting Esperanza's feelings about her great grandmother, about herself, and about ZZ the X. Okay. Um, so a check for understanding is as the class completes the graph, the teacher is taking a poll for each name to ensure that students agree on where it fits. So wherever a student tells you to place the great grandmother, you're going to poll the class. Do we agree? Do we disagree? We're going to ask for evidence and correct misperceptions as necessary. Okay. And then we're going to talk about, like, based on what we see on the graph, what's the same in both of the vignettes.
And I know a lot
And
of teachers, Sarah, they feel like, and leaders, anybody watching, teachers feel like, and I've heard it, oh, well, they have these charts in their activity page. But when you're modeling, and I can't stress that enough, we as teachers, as the, leader of the classroom, need to make sure we have that chart enlarged,
yes.
for for the whole class, even though they may have it. Your room, to me, I'm looking for this chart in every room I go in. This
Yeah,
graph,
for
the graph.
sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Where's 2.3? And is it being used? Like, are
Yes.
students referencing it? Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So towards the end of this lesson, there's going to be a discussion. Again, they're still using 2.3. They're comparing those first two vignettes and what they have plotted on the graph, what's the same and what's different. Why is it important to remember that this isn't the future, but instead a possible future Esperanza hopes for? Then the teacher's going to wrap up with, yay, we compared two vignettes. We've used this tool to discover this theme. And then reminding students that Esperanza's aspirations are important because, like, I've read about 10 lessons in this unit, and every single one talks about her aspirations. Yeah, they're
Aspirations.
doing it in
Yeah.
reading and they're using it in writing. So it's not going to go away. So after class, really important notes. Like it says, save 2.3 because you're going to need it again in later lessons. The teacher is going to want to collect those writers' journals because she's going to be going through them, just going over the student responses, making sure they're writing in complete sentences, they're supporting their work with quotes from the text, and that on 2.3, they've done all their plotting based on what the teacher has. Right? And let's see what else. So we have 2.4 here where they are answering those questions, and then 2.5 where they're going to do their graphing. And unless you think of something I didn't think of, I think we have wrapped up lesson 2.
Yes, that concludes lesson 2. We hope it was helpful.
Yes, thank you for watching. Here's our email, Twitter, and YouTube channel if you'd like to get in touch with us.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.